you've touched on before, the fact that it is a bank holiday Monday. People are going to be on the ale, they're going to be getting, really, really kind of up for the game and stuff. If you dip into the kind of online stuff with Newcastle, there's no doubt about it, they're not taking any of this well, like none of it at all. And Liverpool are getting a lot of the blame. The players obviously coming in for some slack as well, or some flack I should say as well. How do you think that first kind of 10, 15 minutes will feel like at St James's? Because I can just imagine they will come out like lunatics. It could be like a zoo on Monday.
Feral, absolutely feral. I'm really jealous that I'm not going. Like, I would love to be there. It's one of my favourite.
As an observer of human behaviour.
As someone who loves to be feral, it just feels like a bit of me. Imagine a full day. I know the weather's not going to be great. A full day drinking, being in the free trade inn, the one that like has the beautiful views of the city, and then you go to the ground. It'd be amazing. What a great day. I know that's not what you meant, but I just think I don't know. I love a fight. I think the atmosphere will be incredible. Like, it's going to be intense. It'll be a hell of a lot, but I just think in the best way. Like, if this isn't what you're in it for, then what are you in it for?
That's how I feel about it as well. I'm getting to go and I'm really excited because I just sort of think, to John's point before, we don't win the final against them. The 3-3 goes the way in which it goes last season. We do win at Anfield, but I think there's a bit of a thing where I'm not going to quite say we've got something to prove, but I think we need to show we can deal with this. What is it? It looks like a hostile European away. Well, we want to be playing in hostile European aways this season, so I'm looking forward to it like that, Ian, and Liverpool having to manage themselves, manage the occasion, manage the moments, but come out on top. Listen, we can all talk about, and we will, availability, and we can talk a little bit about whether or not the bench is deep enough, but put that to one side. I'm all in for it being an absolutely massive Monday night, and just loving every single minute of it. And I'm into the occasion. I want the occasion. I want every Liverpool match to feel like it's the biggest thing that's happening on the planet at any given moment, and this one definitely does. I
think that's important, John, isn't it? Because you should relish these moments and these opportunities. It will be feral. It will be a little bit on top at times. The manager talked a little bit about it as well in his press conference, so he knows, the players will know. So with all that in mind, I want to make sure, or I want to see Liverpool start in a really kind of good fashion. You don't want to be going to go behind the first 5 minutes and people look at you and going, wow, has this happened? You know what it's going to be like. You know it is going to be an intense atmosphere. He mentions intense and intensity so many times, the manager, when he does his press conference. We know all that. So I want to get a real sense that the players have understood the brief. When that game starts Monday, they need to be absolutely ready for it.
Yeah, they do, and you'd hope they would be, because like Neil pointed out before, there's been times last season where they haven't looked quite ready for it, and they know how that feels, and they'll want to put that right. So there could be no surprises on Monday. If anything's a surprise to any of them, then what have they been doing? They've had this big break that you talked about with the media straight from the off, and so they've had loads of time. Part of the problem with the cup finals, they didn't have any time to prepare for it. They had the Champions League game, which was always going to be bigger in the build-up, and Eddie Howard had the whole week, and I gather a little bit longer. They were working on set pieces for about 2 or 3 weeks just for that game, and having league games, interrupting them, and so it's different this time. Both sides have had a big long time to prepare for this, so be putting some of the things right that you talked about before, Ian, in terms of the spaces, but also just the mentality. What do we want to show of ourselves? What do we want to approach it? How do we want the first 10, 15 minutes of this game to go? Never mind them, never mind what they want to do. How do we stamp on authority in this game? I hope there's Geordie sitting next to each other going, we can't get the ball here. That'd be perfect for me. But to do that, you can't control that game passively, do you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to let us just knock it about nicely, do you know what I mean? They're going to be right in our faces, and so if we're keeping a lot of the ball, you almost have to be aggressive in terms of doing that, in terms of how quickly you move it, because you're not going to get any time in terms of getting territory as well as possession, and so it's going to be tough. But the great players, the champions, the brilliant footballers, they played in tough places, and Monday's going to be hard, but they'll be confident because they've got to Liverpool Football Club, and they've got to where they are by being the footballers that they are.
Neil, we're going to hear from the manager in a little bit, talking about the intensity of the game, the challenge that Newcastle kind of provide. I thought he might have just maybe mentioned the physicality in the context of maybe the referee and stuff, and just did a bit of a Ferguson thing where I hope he's watching stuff. I hope he's on this, because it is going to be... We've all seen the clips of Joe Linton going around just kicking kind of, everyone all over the place. He does it a lot. He gets away with it a lot. I thought he might just drop something in along those lines. He's chosen not to do that. Perfectly fine. No problem with it. that physicality piece, that is going to be massive for Liverpool on Monday.
Yeah, but I think this is back to the manager not wanting any excuses. So he's not even allowing, from Liverpool's point of view, don't you even worry about the referee. This isn't about the referee, this is about us and them and how we deal with that and how we deal with that approach. So I think he's always the manager, you know. I think from the minute he's arrived, we keep saying it, he very much does not want to allow a single excuse. There's no reason why Liverpool should not win a game. There's no reason why Liverpool should not be better. And that's what he's about. So I think, I wonder if he debated whether or not to bring that up, but in the end he might well have thought, listen, I've tried that sort of thing before. I've tried mentioning it in a we've got to try and get over it and be better way, which is what he did before the derby, and then he got himself into trouble. There's also him mentioning it in the context of we've got to, you know, I think he has tried to sort of say at times the referee has been a bit, we wouldn't mind a bit more protection or it feeling a bit more our way. That's not really happened either. So I suspect with it, and he's probably thought, you know what, I don't even want the lads thinking about this beforehand, or as much as possible not thinking about this. I suspect there'll be a couple of quiet words in the training grounds about the referee, about who it is and what to expect, because I think that the negligence if they don't do that. You know, different referees referee different ways. But I think ultimately the Liverpool manager wants Liverpool to have no excuses. And if they're too physical for you, then you need to look at whether or not you've been physical enough, is what I suspect his outlook will be.
Here is the manager talking about that challenge on Monday night.
Nothing to do with anything that's in the media a lot, but I think if you go to Newcastle, you know what to expect. We've played them 3 times last season, and twice their intensity levels were above ours. So in the away game, especially the first 60 minutes, they were so intense. They were fully deserved, had the lead, and in the League Cup final, they were more intense than us as well. So I don't think they need anything to add for them being intense if they play at St James's Park. It is, yeah, they play at St James's Park. So yeah, it's apart from the intensity, it's a very good team. They have also a team that can make it a fight, if you want to call it like this. They have players for this, but they also have players that are so comfortable on the ball. So one of the best teams in the league, and one of the most difficult away games that you can have in a season, especially, as you say it here, under the lights. Yeah, under the lights. So yeah.
John, just in terms of the physicality, we'll touch on team selection shortly. Do you think that will be in the manager's mind, that actually when he thinks about what his selection looks like, he might just err on the side of, I want to get as many big lads in the starting 11 as I can?
Yeah, not necessarily even just big lads, but lads who are used to the physicality of the league, who've been to Newcastle before, and you know, he feels like an aware to stand up to the challenge, and also he'll have an awareness that it's a 90-minute game, and I think he'd take 0-0 on 60 right now, and I think he'd back himself to, you know, because you'd have thought by then they might have punched themselves out in those openings. So I think he'll want to pick players who are not just up for the, you know, physical challenge and are physical players themselves, but are also used to it. So I think he'll want to play Gravenberch for the reasons we've talked about. I think he'll want to play McAllister, and I think he'll want to play Szoboszlai. And so if you're picking all 3 of them, then, well, there's 4 other lads who played at the weekend, and so unless you want to put one of them at right back, which you might do, then someone's missing out there. But I think all 3 of them he'll want to play.
I hope you're enjoying this free show at the moment. Loads of excellent, exciting stuff on the Anfield app. If you want to be part of the whole thing, you can download the Anfield app and go from there. Or you can subscribe via the YouTube membership as well for video-only content and other bits and pieces. We love doing these shows. We love that you watch them. So come, be part of the journey with us.